do the thing that the school is asking you to do, because that's going to teach you the bare minimum requirement of at least being an employee in an organization. So when it comes down to knowing what you wanted to do in your life, you're never going to have clarity. And most of the time, the things that are going to give you the money that you're looking for to actually have stability are not going to be things that you necessarily always have dreamed of doing. The vast majority of Americans are going to be in situations where they are pursuing a degree where they are not particularly passionate about that thing, but the money on the other side is the thing that's drawing them to it. And my recommendation always, if you're a college student and you've just gotten into college and you're not entirely sure what you want to do, definitely go around and try out some majors. But also realize that there's certain fields that you're really not going to make very much money in. If you major in communications, or if you major in business, or if you major in any of these things that are more amorphous instead of perhaps pre-dental, pre-health, or pre-law, you're going to have a lower threshold for what you're actually guaranteed to make when you get out of the educational system. What that means is that if you're going to pursue those types of degrees and you're going to hop around and find what you're passionate about, it's really, really important to also spend the time in your off hours to actually sit down and think about what it was you really enjoyed doing when you were younger. My biggest philosophy for people that really want to find their passion in life is you got to take a look at your child self. You got to take a look at the soul that is inside of you and what they are interested in. And the easiest way to do that is to really reflect back on your memories of when you were 0 to 8 years old. What are those things that really got you moving? What are those things that you did that sometimes you forgot to eat, sometimes you went to bed late? What are those things that you did with your friends? And when you distill those things down, you start realizing that there is some consistency in those things and also what you pursued in high school and in college in terms of your enjoyment. Now, it's not always the case that you're going to have a career that's directly correlated to you playing video games, for instance, or directly correlated to you playing outside with your friends or just having a good time. However, if for instance you remember playing board games, what type of specific board game did you enjoy playing the most? What components of that board game really are required in order to win at that board game, in order to show prowess in that board game? For instance, for Monopoly, if that's something that you played all the time, then you can think about, hey, there was a monetary component to it, there was a savings component to it, there's an investment component to it, there's a communication component to it, there is an overall strategic component to it. And if you continue to do that thing again and again and again, there's a very good chance that you did it for a reason. Either it was a big part of your environment, or that you personally had a passion and an interest in it. I can give you an example. For when I was younger, I used to love Dragon Ball Z, and I used to love playing Yu-Gi-Oh, and I used to love creating scenarios out of my action figures. Scenarios that are a little bit larger, like for instance, a war going on, or some sort of scenario where there is two armies that are trying to sneak into something. So what I realized about my escapades as a child, the things that I enjoyed doing, was that I always enjoyed some sort of strategy. I always enjoyed creating things like Yu-Gi-Oh decks, or perhaps tracing my favorite figures in Dragon Ball Z, whatever it was. And at the end of the day, I also really enjoyed the component of having multiple aspects of a system. And when I started to do a lot of these club organizations, when I moved around, and when I started to move around a lot and actually get these clubs and organizations established in the schools and having this sense of, hey, I want to create something larger that people can be a part of, I started to realize how important that time was for when I was young and how important those essentials were for who I am as a person. So my recommendation to you, if you don't necessarily know what you want to do in life right now, is really think back. First of all, if you're in college, pursue the degree. Try to do the very best you can in the classes. Do the thing that the school is asking you to do, because that's going to teach you the bare minimum requirement of at least being an employee in an organization. When you don't necessarily agree with everything that's going on, you're going to necessarily need to still show up every day and do that thing. Not the ideal, but it is a major component of actually having some sort of success and prowess in life. But on your off hours comes a time where when you come home from school, when you come home from classes and you're done with your homework or whatever, that it's probably not a great time to get stoned. Perhaps you should put that off for another half an hour, another hour, and actually think about what it is that you wanted to do. The first part of changing who we are and changing our trajectory in life is getting a proper philosophy for why we want to do such a thing, for why we're going to invest so much energy into changing what we do with our daily routine. And in general, if you are hopping around a lot, my advice to you is if you find something that you are even slightly passionate about and it has a nice figure attached to the end of it, or you have someone in your environment or your family that's a part of that business or that line of thinking, that philosophy of career, I would recommend to stay there and pursue it to the best you can. Because instead of the people that are dropping out right after high school and not going to college because they are unsure of what they want to do, and then they spend a year, 2 years, 3 years procrastinating that thing, the person that's going directly to college after school, after high school, is someone that is going to be making progress and learning a technical skill in the process of discovering themselves, which means that they're necessarily making progress. My fundamental philosophy for progress in life and change in life is that you want to pursue things that you are on a path for long enough to get a different perspective on your life. That is super, super important. And if there are things that you are pursuing that you're not particularly passionate about, realize that the professors, the people that are teaching you, are also there because they want the very best for their students. So go and set up office hours with your counselor. Go and set up office hours with your professors and ask, hey, I don't really know what I want to do in my life. And they'll ask you questions, if they're good professors, if they really care about you, that will instigate the type of thing that I'm talking about here. Who are you? What do you want to do? What did you really enjoy doing? And what is that inner passionate soul really, really catalyzed with, right? Without that, we're never going to put in the effort to do all of the little substantial steps that are required to, I don't know, have a life. You have a question, Alex? Get done with your education as soon as you possibly can, because the formalized education that you're receiving is really no education at all. At the end of the day, you're going to learn a lot more when you apply that education to the real world. And if you have the philosophy that as soon as you get out of school, you're done getting educated, you are going to cut off your income at that level before it even starts. So the reality is that school is just having a degree, is just convincing an employer that you are capable of doing something consistently and getting it done. After that, the real education begins, and it's the stuff that really you're passionate about and the stuff that you spend your money on to learn and the environments that you get into to learn. The other thing is, when it comes to a career, if you're going to end up taking a gap year, my suggestion would be calling up all of the local businesses that have anything to do with the thing that you're passionate about, trying to talk to that CEO of that small business and trying to say, hey, listen, I might not know very much about this, but I promise you I have this skill, and I'm going to show up and I'm going to try to be the best possible employee that I can be. Not in the sense of, hey, I'm trying to do this to get money. Sure you are. But in the sense that you are trying to learn the philosophies of this person and trying to understand the business problems. Always try to take yourself outside of the situation that you are currently into where you want to be in life, and always try to find mentors that can guide you towards the type of disciplines that you need, the type of philosophies you need, and the type of opportunities that you should be taking on in order to further develop yourself. I don't really believe in gap years very much because at the end of the day, it's so important to realize we really hardly anyone really knows what they want to do in life. I did not want to be a dentist when I went into college, right? I wanted to go and figure out how to be an ecologist and how to do all this sustainable research and be part of these bands and this music stuff. I could have probably been fairly successful in that field, but it was my mother, someone that in my environment that said, hey, perhaps you should try to pursue something that's necessarily going to guarantee you a certain amount of prowess in the world and a certain amount of income in the world. And once you achieve that degree, why don't you make your decision in terms of what you want to do? And the reality is, all along, I was also exploring laterally. So when you have a clear vision of where you want to go and you know the steps that are laid out for you, you have area and room to explore the little things that make you you. So it's very, very important to say to yourself, listen, even if I don't know what I want to do, I'm just going to go down this path and see where it takes me. Because at the end of the day, if you can go and nail one thing, one technical skill, you can probably go and nail a bunch of others. And the average millionaire spends a lot of their time learning new skills. I mean, the average millionaire learns 18 new skills a year. That's a lot of time and effort being very uncomfortable. And if you are not okay with putting yourself into an uncomfortable scenario right now, you're not setting yourself up to go and learn all those skills to be able to increase your prowess in life. Actualize your potential catalyst. This world needs you.